Hey, we're going to take a look at these air-conditioned cabs for zero turns. We've got 2 or 3 right here. These are new introductions this year, so I'm excited about this. I say excited, I'm intrigued by the whole concept, and I thought maybe it might be good for us to take a closer look. Let's get started. This cab has 2 huge doors, one on each side, of course. The magical part here is the air conditioner, which is here in the back. The cold air comes out right here, right? It's got a little directional vent here that we can use. Pay no mind to what we're hearing in the background. The show is being set up here, and so we're getting a little inside look before the public gets a look, and so that's what we're excited about here today. We decided, beeping or not, you would enjoy this. So the incoming cold air here, the return is right here. The beauty of the air coming here is that it comes right down on the back of your neck when it's really hot. It's going to be hard for them, the way this cab is made, to necessarily keep the whole cab at, say, 60 degrees. But their coldest air is going to blow down right on your neck and is going to be right where you need it. So that kind of leads us to the construction of the cab. This is what they call a drop-on cab. So it comes from the manufacturer, from Curtis, completely assembled. And you drop this cab right onto the machine. They estimate about 4 hours for installation, and the dealer typically does this install. It's all aluminum. It weighs 220 pounds. Now, 220 pounds, that may sound like a lot of weight, but they had to go to a lot of work to get it down to that weight. And the reason for that is that the transmissions on these machines are incapable of handling that extra weight. Unlike a tractor, which might have a loader, which might be pulling an attachment, these mowers are typically a consistent weight, so they can optimize the transmissions for the weight of the machine. So all the windshields and doors are polycarbonate. They're scratch resistant, hardened polycarbonate. They're not glass, again, because of the weight. The frame itself is all aluminum. That's what allows them to keep the weight low. So what you'll see is this is an open station mower with the cab added onto it. Now you'll see some items like this, which will keep the dust out, but all of the pedals, all of the controls are just like they are on the regular open station mower. Now the cab seems really wide, but the reason is because you have to be able to get your zero turn steering controls out. So that dictates the width of the cab. Look at this huge lift come beside us. Now we're not hearing the noise of that big lift. That's a diesel running at full throttle. So the cab is providing some noise isolation, but what we'll find out is that we do need hearing protection when running this mower at full throttle. We should probably talk a little about the practicality of this cab. Does it really make sense? First, let's talk about the pricing. It's about $13,000 once it's installed. That's all the cab, air conditioning, and already installed on the machine. And does that really make sense? I mean, we're talking about a $20,000 lawnmower, probably, I'm guessing, and then $13,000 more for the cab. From my perspective, I guess there's a couple of things we could look at. First is employee retention. If you're running a landscape business, if you've got an air-conditioned cab and your competitors don't, it would seem to me like it'd be a lot easier to keep an employee on the job. And this is a one-time expense, not an ongoing expense like retraining employees. So yeah, I think $13,000 for a cab like this might be a good investment for a professional landscape organization. Another potential customer is potentially a homeowner who's just tired of mowing in the hot temperatures and they can afford it. Why not go ahead and get a cab? Now the internals of this cab are going to be about the same audio levels as they are outside. So 95 dB is what Neil Messick measured in the Kubota version, which is behind us here. So that's still going to require some hearing protection. Any kind of hearing protection like the ISO-tunes, either the in-your-ear or the over-the-ear, will work fine for that. And hey, you want to listen to tunes anyway. It's probably not that big of a deal. So this console up here contains switches for the options. This is the windshield wiper, the washer, and the headlights. Each of these is an option on this cab, and if you order any of them, you get this console. We've got some foam here in the roof. I think this will be a nice improvement to help reduce that vibration and that noise echo a little bit. So that's a nice benefit over some of the other entry-level cabs that you might find on compact tractors. This is the air conditioning unit here. This is the evaporator right here on the back side. A little air intake here on the outside here. About 90% of the air is recirculated. Only about 10%, they say, comes fresh in from the outside. That keeps the cab somewhat, or you might say mostly, pressurized. The reason they want some pressure in the cab is to keep the dust out, right? So as long as there's some pressure pushing air outward, the dust should not become a factor inside the cab. But they do want some fresh air coming in. Curtis experimented with electric-based air conditioning systems in the past, and they found them only marginally successful. They just couldn't get enough cooling capacity to actually, well, keep you cool. So what they've done is, this is a fully mechanical compressing system. The compressor is right here. There is a belt that runs to the top of this Vanguard engine. So they added an extra pulley right on the crankshaft of the Vanguard engine. It's belt driven, so it's specifically made for this unit. The Vanguard engine is approved, so they work directly with Briggs & Stratton to get approval to add the air conditioning system to this particular engine. Now at the same time, they're introducing the similar cab on the Z994 John Deere unit. The air conditioning looks identical, but the way the compressor is attached and just the whole layout of the compressor is different than on the Ferris. In this case, this is a diesel engine. This is much like the 1025R engine. It's 24 point whatever horsepower, just below the DPF requirements of Tier 4, right? So there's a belt running from the main crankshaft right up here, and the compressor's right here, as you can see. Other than that, the air conditioner unit is the same. There's no difference between that and the Kubota or the Ferris installation. Now here's an example of the customization for each different unit. The Z994 has big holes in here to allow water to drain through it, right? So it's not suitable to keep any sort of isolation as a cab. So Curtis has added this, it's kind of a rubberized floorboard into this particular model. I really like this. I have actually encouraged them to maybe even put some foam under it or some sound isolation in there, and do that on all the models. I think this is really nice. But in this case they had to, because it was gaping open to the deck, so they needed to cover and fill that in. Now as you can see, they've got these same boots, and there's some other pieces to what they call the seal kit. It's included in every cab now, so you know they customize this to do the best they can to isolate this cab from, to isolate the user from the elements. But it's not perfect, right? I mean, see, here's a case of a pedal that's outside. From the outside here, I can stick my fingers right through, and it's just got these bristles here to hide it. So it's not a perfectly sound isolated cab, but it's pretty good for something that's put on aftermarket. Now the way these doors are made, they are huge. So it doesn't really hinder the entry or exit into the machine at all. I can step right up here, get in and get out with no issue at all. It's actually surprising to me how they've been able to make a cab that feels so spacious on such a small machine. Pretty impressed with that. Now this air conditioner, I don't really know how you size air conditioners, but they call it a 1.5 ton air conditioning system. Now for those of us maybe a little more practical, they state that they can send out 60-degree air inside the cab in 100+ degree temperatures. So while they don't promise that your toes are going to be 65 degrees, the back of your neck and the rest of your body is going to be significantly cooled. And that brings up a point here. I would really like to try one of these in the heat of summer to see if it really works, right? It's one thing to be promised by a manufacturer that something like this is going to keep you cool, but I really need to try it firsthand. So we'll see if we can get something worked out for next summer, maybe where we can get one of these machines, Ferris, John Deere, Kubota, whichever, to try on our own property. Curtis has supported the Kubota ZD1211 for a year now. They introduced it last fall at this same show. Just now introducing the Deere and the Ferris models, specific models, the Z994 and the Ferris ISX3300, I think it is. I don't see it within reach here. I guess I want to hear your comments. Do you think a cab would be a useful addition to a zero turn? You know, from my standpoint, my biggest beef with a zero turn is the grass and dust coming up at you all the time, or you turn into the wind and the grass that's coming out of the deck just comes right up in my face. I really don't enjoy that. I think that being able to keep that operator station clean and cool would make a huge improvement to me for a zero turn mower. And I want to hear your comments. Just want to hear your opinions. Is it something you would buy? Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you're lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth.